What's up my peeps, it is now time for the WrestleMania 32 results / highlights and review video. So I'll be going over the entire show results, some of the highlights in my opinion, and give you guys my thoughts and my review at the end. So it starts off with Ryback versus Kalisto on the kickoff. In case you're wondering, the kickoff panel was Renee Young, Lita, and Booker T, and then Corey Graves joined them. So, as far as Ryback versus Kalisto, I mean, in the beginning, it was just Ryback overpowering Kalisto. Kalisto then ended up getting the better of Ryback for a short moment by hitting a running double knee from the apron, but then Ryback quickly gets up, he throws Kalisto around on the barricade, and then he actually military presses Kalisto from the outside of the ring all the way back to the inside of the ring. He actually walks with him on the steps, on the apron, and throws him back in the ring. So anyways, once they're back in the ring, moving on just a bit, you get Ryback actually hitting a delayed vertical suplex from the second rope on Kalisto. He called it a WrestleMania moment right before doing it, but Kalisto actually reversed it, where once Ryback went ahead and fell to hit the suplex, Kalisto turned it around by actually falling on top of Ryback in like a crossbody, but Ryback kicked out, and then right away he hit him with a beat the hook clothesline, and then Kalisto tried to hold on to the turnbuckle while Ryback was like trying to pull him away. Eventually he pulls Kalisto away, but by doing that, Kalisto also pulls off the turnbuckle padding. And of course, that's going to come into play to the end, and it does when Ryback charges Kalisto, and Kalisto just drop kicks him in the leg, and Ryback goes face first onto the turnbuckle. Kalisto follows it up with the Salida del Sol off the ropes, and he gets the 3 count and the win, so Kalisto retains the title. After that, we get the Total Divas match, or Total Divas versus Bad and Blonde. So I'm just going to go over some of the parts in the match. Once Eva Marie got tagged in, she actually went ahead and hit her Hurricane Rana, and then she hit 2 suplexes in a row, so it wasn't like a 3 Amigo or anything like that. And then she like aggressively tagged in Natalya. She was pretending like she was about to tag in Paige, but actually tagged in Natalya. And then Paige goes ahead and well actually before she jumps, she gets pretty much beat up the entire match. And then eventually she goes ahead and jumps from the top to the outside on the entire opposing team except for Lana. And then eventually she gets the hot tag to Brie, who goes ahead and hits the yes kicks on Naomi. And then she hits the Bella Buster, but Lana breaks the count. Once she does that, Natalya comes in, she hits a discus clothesline on Natalya. Tamina hits a Samoan drop on Natalya. Eva hits slice spread number 2 on Tamina. Summer Rae hits a heel kick on Eva, and then a scissors kick from Alicia on Summer Rae. And then Emma takes down Alicia with a double underhook suplex, and then Naomi hits a rear view on Emma. Basically, they all get their finishers in. And then Brie Bella goes for a move from the top on Naomi, but Naomi's like so far away, it's like, you know you're not gonna get her. Obviously somebody's gonna go ahead and attack Brie while she's trying to do this. And Lana actually gets on the apron and pushes Brie off, but Brie still manages to go ahead and lock in the yes lock on Naomi, and Naomi taps out, and that's it. The Total Divas team win, and then Nikki Bella comes out to celebrate with them. Afterwards, we get Lita introducing the brand new Women's Championship, which basically is the WWE Championship, but with different colors. So on the outside, instead of being a, actually the WWE Championship, it's gold, right? Yeah, it's gold. Well, no. The surrounding is not gold. The surrounding of the WWE Championship is black, right? This one is white, and on the inside, around the WWE logo, it's red. And of course, instead of saying WWE World Heavyweight Championship, it says Women's Championship. So they really, tried to make it like, hey, this is pretty much the women's version of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It looks like it, but just with different colors. So, she introduces that to Pop, and then she says that tonight the Divas will be competing for this title. And then we get the Usos versus the Dudley Boyz. Right off the bat, the Dudley Boyz attack Jay and Jimmy, and they take out Jay, and then they hit a double flapjack on Jimmy. Then eventually they hit the what's up head drop, not head drop, I mean headbutt on Jay, and then Bubba goes, Devon! But before he can get the tables, the Usos double super kick them. And then one of the Usos goes for a splash on Devon, but Devon gets his knees up. And then the Dudleys go for the 3D shortly afterwards, but they get super kicked once again. A lot of super kicks in this match, by the way. All by the Usos, of course. We didn't see the Dudleys hit super kicks. But yeah, back on topic. After the super kicks, they go for the cover and they get the win. And then the Dudley boys, they're pissed, so they go ahead and attack the Usos after the match. And then they actually get some tables. I thought they weren't going to be using tables anymore. But anyways, each one of them goes ahead and grabs a table. They set it up. And then they go for a double powerbomb, or each one tries to go for a powerbomb on one of the Usos. But the Usos just get out of it, and they hit a super kick on both of them. And then they get on the table, and then they hit double splashes or simultaneous splashes on the Dudley boys, and that was it for that. So that was the kickoff. Afterwards, we got the main show, and it started off with a nice video package going over the history of WrestleMania. And then they kick it off with the Intercontinental Championship ladder match. And right off the bat, once the bell rings, they all go to the outside to grab some ladders, except for KO. He stays in the ring, and he taunts, and then he starts kicking everybody that tries to get back in the ring. Except for Sami Zayn, who manages to get back in the ring while Kevin Owens is kicking somebody else. So he gets back in the ring with a ladder, and then KO and him kind of fight over the ladder, and then they trade punches. And eventually, a bit afterwards, we get Stardust body slamming Sin Cara on the ladder, and then right after, he tries to suplex Zack Ryder on the ladder, but Zack Ryder counters it with a neckbreaker on the ladder instead. Then at some point, KO actually backdrops Sami Zayn onto a ladder, and then right after, once he turns around, Zack Ryder hits him with the Rough Rider. And then you had Sami Zayn, this was one of the cool spots. Sami Zayn goes ahead and he has a ladder. There's a ladder set up right in front of him, right in front of the ropes, right next to the ropes. And everybody else is on the outside, so Sami Zayn goes ahead and jumps through the ladder onto everybody on the outside with a rolling senton. And then Kevin Owens is also on the outside, but he's on the other side completely of the ring. So he goes ahead, runs towards Kevin Owens, and he hits a torpedo DDT on KO, so that was cool. And then at some point, you have Sin Cara on the ladder, and then he gets pushed off by Sami Zayn, but then he manages to land on the ropes, and so he springboards on the ropes, or off the ropes, and hits a rolling senton on everybody else on the outside. And then at some point, you have Ziggler getting back in the ring and super kicking everybody. Once KO gets back in the ring, he goes ahead and super kicks KO, while KO also super kicks him, so they super kick each other. And then Stardust at some point goes ahead and pulls out a custom ladder, a black ladder with polka dots on it. Also, his attire had some polka dots on it, a tribute to Dusty. And eventually, The Miz just hits him with a skull-crushing finale on that ladder. And then we have KO setting up Sami Zayn on top of a ladder, and then he goes up top and hits a frog splash on Sami Zayn on that ladder. Now, the ladder doesn't break or anything like that, but still cool spots. Afterwards, we see Zack Ryder jumping from the top of the ladder onto The Miz with an elbow. Basically an elbow drop. He calls it the elbow. And then once he goes ahead and climbs up the ladder, Dolph also climbs up the ladder and hits him with a facebuster from the top. And then KO takes Dolph off the ladder and hits him with a powerbomb. And then Stardust hits Owens with the Queen's Crossbow, which is basically Crossroads. And then Sin Cara goes ahead and hits an enziguri on Stardust, who ends up on the apron, and then Stardust falls onto a ladder that's in between the apron and the barricade. And you always know, whenever there's a ladder in between those two things, that ladder always breaks. So you know Stardust, or somebody that's going to attempt to jump on Stardust, is going to go through that ladder. And that's pretty much what happens. We get Sami Zayn, while Sin Cara's trying to climb up the ladder inside the ring, Sami Zayn goes ahead and takes him off the ladder, and Sin Cara falls in a crossbody position on the outside on Stardust through that ladder. And then KO goes ahead and climbs up the ladder. Sami Zayn does too. They go ahead and trade some punches on the top. And then Sami smashes KO's head on the ladder, but KO goes ahead and rakes his eyes. They both fall off. And then we get a half and half suplex from Zayn on the ladder. And KO looks like he lands like head. I don't know if he lands head first, but once he lands, his head is in between the ladder rungs, or one of the ladders that's, down in the ring. So it looks like he landed pretty bad. And then Sami Zayn starts climbing up the ladder, but The Miz takes him off the ladder, and then The Miz climbs up. But then he starts getting cocky, and then, he thinks he's the only one there. So he actually gets on the other side of the ladder, looking at the crowd, not looking behind him. And then Zack Ryder climbs up from behind The Miz, and he goes ahead and pushes him off the ladder, grabs the championship, and Zack Ryder is your new Intercontinental Champion. Then Zack Ryder's dad comes in the ring, and they celebrate, and yeah, Zack Ryder actually won the IC title ladder match. The craziest thing is, I don't even think he was supposed to be in this ladder match in the first place. I think it was supposed to be Neville, so if Neville wasn't injured, would this have happened? I don't think so. But anyways, man, happy for Ryder. Anyways, moving on, we had Jericho versus AJ Styles. So, let me just go over some of the interesting moments of the match. You had Jericho going for a triangle dropkick, but AJ saw it coming, so he jumped off the apron in the ring, and Jericho saw that AJ went ahead and did that, so Jericho jumped on the apron. So they switched spots, and then AJ went ahead and hit Jericho with the triangle dropkick. So he used Jericho's move against him, and then AJ went for a dive to the outside on Jericho, but Jericho caught him with a dropkick. And then back in the ring, Jericho puts him in the walls of Jericho. And of course, AJ gets out of it. And then AJ goes ahead and hits the springboard moonsault. We also had AJ hitting Jericho with a suplex facebuster from the top. And then when he went for the Pele kick, it actually got countered. Jericho caught the leg, and then he locked him in the walls once again. But AJ once again gets out of it, and he locks in the calf crusher. And then Y2J manages to roll him up, breaking it. And then he goes for the code breaker, or Hurricane Rana, but AJ counters it by getting Jericho in the Styles Clash position, and Jericho also gets out of that. Eventually, AJ goes for the phenomenal forearm, and Jericho ducks it, and then he hits the code breaker, but he takes way too long to go for the cover, so you know AJ is going to kick out, which he does. And then Chris goes ahead and tries to go for the Styles Clash, and he does AJ's taunt and everything, but Styles counters it with a back suplex into a facebuster. AJ then goes for a roll-up, but he turns it into the Styles Clash, he hits it, and Jericho kicks out, and then Styles goes ahead and takes Jericho down with some forearms, and then he goes for a running forearm, but Jericho counters it with boots to the head. And then Jericho goes for the lion salt, but AJ gets his knees up, and then we see AJ hitting a springboard 450, which looked really good, only for a 2.5 counts. And then AJ right after hit a brainbuster, but the camera kind of missed it because they were showing the replay of the 450 splash. And then after that brainbuster, AJ goes ahead, he takes off his elbow pad, he signals for the springboard forearm, and he goes for it, but Jericho kind of pushes the ref out the way, and then he catches AJ with the codebreaker. Goes for the cover, and he gets the 3 count. Jericho wins the match. Afterwards, we get an interview with Zack Ryder, and he goes in and says that this is the best moment of his life, and he says that if he retired today, he'd be a happy man. And then we get the New Day versus the League of Nations. For the New Day's entrance, we get like a big ass box of Budio cereal, and then they come out of it, and there's also cereal that comes out of it. Actually, probably not real cereal, but they come out of the box, and they come out of it dressed in Saiyan armor. So that was pretty cool. And then we get the League of Nations coming out. And so, I'll just go over quickly some of the moments of the match. You had Kofi Kingston hitting a double boom drop on both Rusev and Sheamus. You had Big E overhead belly-to-belly suplex both Sheamus and Rusev on the apron. And then once they're on the apron and Bad News Barrett is on the outside, or King Barrett is on the outside, Big E went ahead and hit his apron spear on Rusev and Sheamus and fell on Barrett, although it looked like he also fell pretty badly on his head, although he seemed fine afterwards. Anyway, so he hits that. That was the coolest Big E spear yet. And then Del Rio, after what, by the way, once he hit that, he was kind of out for the rest of the match. And then Del Rio went ahead and hit the stop on Kofi Kingston, who was on the apron. Well, he was like hanging outside the ring while his legs were inside the ring, and he was holding on to the ropes. Like, come on, Kofi, you can just let go of the ropes and you won't get hit with the stop. But anyways, he hits that stop, and then it's down to Woods and Sheamus inside the ring. They're the two legal men. Eventually, Barrett just hits Woods with a bullhammer while the referee doesn't see it, and then Sheamus follows it up with a bro kick for the win. Afterwards, Bad News Barrett grabs the microphone and he talks about how no three-man group is better than them. And then we get Shawn Michaels music. That hits, and that gets a big pop. HBK comes out in ring gear, and at this point I'm like, whoa, is he actually going to have a match? He takes off the shirt and everything, and no, he doesn't take off everything, but I mean he takes off the shirt and he looks ready for a match. And then Mick Foley's music hits. He comes out, he's also in ring gear. And then Austin's music hits, but he's in jeans and a t-shirt. And then they walk down the ramp, and man, this was freaking cool, man. So they get in the ring, and then I'm thinking, well, first off, once Austin came out, I was like, yo, are they going to compete? And the reason why I thought they were going to compete is because Mick Foley's in his gear, and HBK's is in his gear. The only one not in gear is Austin. So anyways, they get in the ring, they have a stare down, and like the League of Nations is like, yo, we're still 4, and you guys are 3. But then the New Day go ahead and drag Barrett out of the ring, and they start kicking his ass on the outside. So then HBK and Mick Foley and Austin go to work on Del Rio, Rusev, and Sheamus. And then we get Sweet Chin music to Del Rio, Socko to Barrett, not to Barrett, sorry, Socko to Sheamus, and a stunner to Rusev. And then they go ahead and celebrate, and the New Day gets in the ring, and they start dancing and like telling HBK and Mick Foley and Austin to dance with them. HBK starts twerking like Kofi Kingston instructed him to. And then Foley also starts dancing with Big E. And then Austin dances for a moment, but then he gives the finger to Woods and hits him with a stunner. And then his music hits, they celebrate, and that's it. After that, we get Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose, no holds barred street fight. So right off the bat, Brock Lesnar just grabs Dean Ambrose, puts him in the corner, hits him with some shoulder tackles and some German suplexes. Then once Ambrose gets to the outside, he grabs a kendo stick, he hits Brock with it a couple times, but then Brock turns it around, hits him with some Germans, and then he stops Ambrose from grabbing the kendo stick. At some point, he puts the kendo stick in between him and Ambrose and dares Ambrose to come and get it. So Ambrose crawls towards it, and then once he tries to get it, Brock Lesnar just goes ahead and puts his foot on it. So then Ambrose goes ahead and low blows Brock Lesnar, and then he hits him with the kendo stick a couple more times. Moving on a bit later in the match, Ambrose sprays him with a fire extinguisher. He also tries to jump from the top with a steel chair on Brock, but Brock quickly gets up, runs towards Ambrose, and suplexes him from the top. And then you get Dean Ambrose grabbing a bunch of steel chairs. He puts them all in the ring, like 10 steel chairs. And he hits an elbow drop on Brock with the steel chair. And then Brock Lesnar goes for a German suplex on Dean Ambrose. He hits the German, but once he hits the German, Brock actually falls back first onto the chairs. And then once they're both back up, Brock Lesnar goes for an F5 on the chairs, but Dean Ambrose counters it into Dirty Deeds on one of the chairs. He goes for the cover, and Brock kicks out. Ambrose also at one point put Brock in the corner. He had Brock sitting in the corner. He put a steel chair in front of him and hit him with a drop kick. And he did try to use the chainsaw at some point, but it wasn't working. So then Brock Lesnar just overhead belly-to-belly suplexes him. And then towards the end, he grabs the barbed wire bat, and then he goes to hit Brock with it, but Brock turns it around. He goes behind Ambrose, hits him with a German on steel chairs, and then he hits him with an F5 for the 1, 2, 3. So 1 F5 was all it took for, the win. I thought Dean Ambrose was supposed to be the Iron Man, but yet 1 F5 is all it takes to put him down. So anyways, moving on, we get the Hall of Fame inductees getting introduced. And then we get Charlotte versus Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. So in this match, Sasha Banks was actually wearing Eddie Guerrero-inspired gear. At some point, she hits a Hurricane Rana on Charlotte from the top. And then they try like a double sunset flip spot where it involves all three of them. But it kind of got botched. I mean, at the end, they made it work. But you could tell didn't do it right from the get-go for that move. But anyways, you also get Charlotte locking in the figure 4 on Becky, but Sasha stopped it with a frog splash from the top. I like that. At some point, Sasha goes ahead and hits a rolling senton on the outside on Charlotte, and then right after, Becky goes ahead and hits a suicide dive on Flair, taking him out. And then Charlotte climbs up the top rope and hits a moonsault on the outside on both of them. That was cool. Did not expect a top rope moonsault from Charlotte to the outside. That was cool. And then she gets them both back in the ring for a double natural selection. She covers them both twice and they both kick out each time. And then Charlotte gets Sasha on her shoulders in an electric chair position, but Becky comes off the top rope with a drop kick on Charlotte, taking them both down. And then she tries to lock in the disarmor, but Sasha stops it with a backstabber on Becky and then locks in the bank statement. But eventually she gets out of it, and the end of the match comes when Charlotte goes ahead and locks in the figure 8 on Becky. And while she's doing that, Sasha is on the outside and she's about to get back in the ring to stop her from tapping out, but Flair goes ahead and grabs Sasha's legs to stop her from getting back in the ring to not break the submission, and Becky goes ahead and taps out, so Charlotte wins the match, and they announce her as the new WWE Women's Champion. So, and even though they announced her as the new Women's Champion on commentary, they did point out that, you know, this isn't like a new reign. They're still counting it as the current reign that she has. Which, by the way, they pointed out that she's the 5th longest reigning Divas champion. I'm like, already? Like, how long did the other Divas have that belt for? If she's already the 5th longest. But anyways, afterwards, it's time for Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker. Shane McMahon, during his entrance, he comes out with his kids. And then The Undertaker comes out. And so the match starts. Right off the bat, Shane McMahon hits Taker with a couple punches to the gut and a kick to the leg, but then Taker just dominates him, he knees him, and he kicks his ass. He hits him with snake eyes, and then he goes for the running boot, but Shane actually stops him with a running back elbow. And then eventually Taker just hits Shane McMahon with a last ride, but Shane kicks out at 2.5. Shane actually got Taker in a triangle submission, but Taker got out of it. And then Taker chokeslammed Shane on the steel steps, but Shane kicked out. We also had Shane hitting a jumping DDT on The Undertaker by surprise on the steel steps. And The Undertaker also put him in Hell's Gate, but Shane McMahon countered it. He got his head out, and then he reversed it into a sharpshooter, which Taker powered out of that. Shortly after, Shane went ahead and grabbed the trash can, and he hit coast to coast on The Undertaker, but Taker kicked out. Shane then grabbed some bolt cutters to take them off, so you knew, they were going to go outside the cell, and then The Undertaker just grabbed Shane, and he charged the cell with Shane, so he sent Shane back first into the cell, and that broke, and then he, grabbed Shane a couple times and shoved him against the broken part of the cell, and then he went ahead and took one of the announce tabletops off, and he grabbed Shane. They fought in the crowd for a second, and then they got on top of the barricade, and Shane got a sleeper hold on The Undertaker, so then Taker, and he had the sleeper hold on for a while, so then Taker at the end decided to just go ahead and fall with Shane going back first onto the announce table, basically sacrificing himself so that Shane can take the announce table and go through it and let go of the sleeper hold. Shane eventually gets up first. He goes ahead, grabs a toolbox, and he hits The Undertaker in the head with it. And then Taker falls on the announce table, the other announce table that's not broken. And then he hits him with a monitor. And then he climbs up the Hell in a Cell. And then he jumps from the top of the Hell in a Cell on The Undertaker with an elbow drop, or he tries to. He actually jumps. but the Undertaker rolls out the way, so Shane is the one to go through the table. And then the Undertaker, he's like sitting there, you know, like, oh shit, he actually did that. And then he gets up, he grabs Shane, and actually Shane is like, yo, come on, bring it, while he's like on his knees. And then the Undertaker just grabs him, puts him over his shoulder, and then he gets back in the cell, rolls him back in the ring, and he goes ahead and hits him with a tombstone piledriver. 1, 2, 3, the Undertaker wins the match. After the match, the Undertaker leaves, and then the medics tend to Shane, and then once the Undertaker's gone, they go ahead, they put Shane on the stretcher, and then Shane just gives a thumbs up to signal that he's okay. After that, and also, something to note here, when Shane went ahead and jumped off the Hell in a Cell for the elbow drop, you could see Michael Cole, well actually it was after he'd landed. After he'd landed, Michael Cole, one of the lines that he said is, "For the love of mankind," you know, referring to when mankind fell off the Hell in a Cell. He goes ahead and says, "For the love of mankind, don't do it," or something like that. And you could see Michael Cole reading that off a paper. So I just thought that was pretty funny. They actually got that on camera. You could see Michael Cole like reading off the paper, "For the love of mankind," like it was something they told him to say. So, after the Hell in a Cell match, it was actually time for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. You had DDP in it, you had Tatanka in it, you had Baron Corbin in it, and you also had Shaquille O'Neal in the match. Right off the get-go, you have Big Show and Shaq. They have a stare down, and then Kane gets in between them, and then they double chokeslam Kane. And then everybody gets out of the ring from under the bottom rope, and then they eliminate Fandango, and then they eliminate Sandow, and by they, I mean Big Show and Shaq. And then everybody gets back in the ring, and they all throw out Big Show and Shaq at the same time. And then DDP also hits a Diamond Cutter on Victor, but, you know, to fast forward a bit, towards the end, the last two ended up being Kane and Baron Corbin, but that didn't last too long because right after Kane eliminated Darren Young and Mark Henry, Baron Corbin just threw him out the ring. So, Baron Corbin wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. We'll see if, you know, this leads to something for Baron Corbin, because it looks like he's on the main roster now, with this appearance here in this match at Mania. So, moving on, we actually get an appearance by The Rock. So, The Rock makes his way to the ring, and at this point, it's like 10:30, I don't know, 10:35 or something like that p.m. and the show's supposed to end at 11, right? And so I'm like, yo, this is gonna be a really short main event. And he also takes his time to make his way out to the ring. So anyways, he gets to the ring, and he's there to announce that they've broken the attendance record, and it's like over 101,000 people at WrestleMania. And then we get the Wyatt family coming out. They interrupt The Rock. Bray says he's going to eviscerate him, and then this leads to The Rock making fun of the Wyatt family. He goes ahead and says that Braun looks like he's been breastfed since the age of 26. He says that Eric Rowan doesn't look like the others, you know, so his parents aren't related. And then he calls the Wyatt family, or Braun and Eric Rowan, Duck Dynasty bitches or something like that, or actually inbred Duck Dynasty bitches. And then he says that Bray Wyatt is the eater of Hot Pockets. And anyways, he goes ahead and challenges them to a match. And so Bray like volunteers Eric Rowan, so it's The Rock versus Eric Rowan. The match like lasts actually it wasn't 4 seconds, it was 6 seconds. And it's basically Rowan goes for a clothesline, The Rock just counters it into rock bottom right off the bat, and then he goes for the cover, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. 6 seconds, The Rock breaks a record for the shortest match in WrestleMania history, and then the Wyatt family surround The Rock, and then John Cena's music hits. He goes ahead and gets in the ring, and they fight off the Wyatt family, 5-knuckle shuffle, spine buster, people's elbow, and yeah, The Rock and John Cena stand tall. After that, we get the main event, Roman Reigns versus Triple H. Triple H's entrance was pretty cool, at least the part where Triple H comes out. Before he came out, he had Stephanie McMahon like give a heel promo while dressed in like a, I don't know, like a witch outfit, kind of, not really. It's kind of, I guess a queen outfit. I don't know. But anyways, Triple H was looking jacked, but also he had a lot of tanner on. Anyways, I'll go over, some of the exciting moments of the match. Reigns hit a super kick through the barricades. It's been a while. He hasn't done that since the Shield days. And actually, he stopped doing that in the Shield, like, after maybe the third match or something like that. But anyways, he speared Triple H through the barricade, and they got back in the ring in time. Stephanie McMahon, though, didn't want the referee to start the count so that Triple H would get counted out, or Roman Reigns would get counted out, and then Triple H would retain the championship. Anyways, a bit later on in the match, the first finisher of the match, Roman Reigns hit a spear on Triple H, and then he went for the cover, and Stephanie McMahon grabbed the referee and she pulled him out the ring, and then once the referee got back in the ring, that amount of time there where he was pulled to the outside and all that gave enough time for Triple H to kick out. And then Stephanie gets in the ring to argue with the referee, and Roman Reigns goes for a spear on Triple H, and at this point, Triple H, the referee, and Stephanie, they're all like close to each other, so Triple H just ducks, and Roman Reigns ends up spearing Stephanie instead. And then once he turns around, he gets pedigreed by Triple H. Triple H goes for the cover, and Roman Reigns kicks out. The match ends when Stephanie McMahon goes ahead and hands a sledgehammer to Triple H. He just wants to get disqualified to retain the championship. He tries to hit Reigns with the sledgehammer, but Reigns ducks, and he hits him with the spear coming back. And he goes for the cover and gets the win, so Roman Reigns wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And that's it for Mania. The pyros go off, he celebrates. And actually afterwards, they show a video package, which I think they haven't done in the past couple WrestleManias, where they used to do it before, but then they stopped, where they actually show the highlights of the show. So they did that after the show. Anyways, what did I think of WrestleMania 32? Well, there were some good matches, some matches that really disappointed, and some awesome moments. I mean, first off, the highlight of the entire show for me was Shane McMahon jumping from the Hell in a Cell with that elbow job. I mean, I knew that Shane McMahon was going to do something crazy, because on Raw, he went ahead and hit the elbow drop from the top through the announce table. So, with it being WrestleMania, he had to top that. That was on Raw. So at WrestleMania, he had to do something bigger, and really the only thing bigger was to jump from the Hell in a Cell. That was freaking awesome. That, to me, was the highlight of the night. Not the match of the night. Definitely not, but the highlight. As far as the match of the night, I'd have to go with either the ladder match or the Divas match for the women's match now. The women's match, by the way, speaking of that, that was the best women's match at WrestleMania in freaking years. Yo, man, the Divas matches, or Divas women, you guys know what I'm talking about here. They've pretty much been crap for the past couple of years. So this one was really good, and it's at a point where this could be the match of the night. Like I said, to me, it's between this and the ladder match. And after those, I would put AJ Styles and Chris Jericho. You know, I expected Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar to be a really good match. I expected it to be really entertaining. I thought it was going to be a crazy fight between the two. Something that would... a situation where you'd see them fight it out, like, all over the arena or whatever. I know it's not a Falls Count Anywhere match, but still. Daniel Bryan versus Kane at Extreme Rules wasn't a Falls Count Anywhere match. And, they weren't really, talking about how extreme the match was going to be and all of that prior to the match, even though it was Extreme Rules. And that was a more extreme match than this. And they were fighting it out all over the arena also in that match. So this... Ambrose versus Brock, to me, was the biggest disappointment. It wasn't Shane versus The Undertaker, because I was also looking forward to Shane versus The Undertaker. The entire time while I was watching Shane versus Taker, I was like, yo, when's the big moment gonna come? I know Shane's gonna do something crazy, and it's probably gonna be him jumping off the Hell in a Cell. So they've gotta get out the cell at some point, and I think that's what really got me into the match. Wondering when that's going to happen, because I thought for sure that was going to happen. Of course, it did end up happening. So once he did, get out those bolt cutters, that's when I really got excited. But if you take out that spot from Shane there, this wasn't like a great Hell in a Cell match. And even if you keep that spot in, it still wasn't a great Hell in a Cell match, but it had an awesome moment in there. Now, moving on to some of the other matches. The main event, honestly, I was pretty bored with the main event. And also at the same time, when it was time for the main event, it was already like 11 something p.m., 11:20 or something like that. Or at least towards the end of the match. So I was also getting tired. And the thing is, the match was pretty damn obvious, or the outcome was pretty damn obvious. And on top of that, everybody that was supposed to return already returned, so it wasn't like, you know, there was any possibilities of anything too crazy happening in the main event. Really the best part was maybe Roman Reigns spearing Stephanie, and the spear through the barricade, and also Triple H's entrance minus the intro from Stephanie. I felt that was pretty cringy. I don't know. It felt like also a way for them to get some heat on Triple H and Stephanie, to also get some heat away from Roman Reigns, which didn't work because the crowd still booed Roman Reigns. Moving on with the Battle Royal is one of the more boring parts of the show. Now, I don't have a problem with the winner. Baron Corbin is a lot better than Kane or the Big Show, but the match itself wasn't exciting. Also, Baron Corbin didn't get his own entrance or any hype or anything like that. So he was just in the ring, and usually when you're just in the ring like that, you're gonna get tossed out. You lose, you don't win, and so there wasn't any excitement in a possible Baron Corbin win really, because there wasn't any hype behind it, and there wasn't an entrance for him, while Big Show, Mark Henry, and Kane and Shaq got their entrance. I actually thought Shaq was gonna win because he got an entrance. He was the last one to get an entrance. But I guess Baron Corbin just being there did make for a, surprise win there at the end. Now, when it comes to AJ versus Jericho, another good match, but Jericho winning, I don't know if that's the right decision. I mean, the good part is Jericho actually gets a win when everybody thinks Jericho is always going to lose, so I guess it's good for unpredictability, but at the same time, I don't think this is the right place to do it. This was AJ Styles' his first WrestleMania match, and they made him lose it to Chris Jericho. And I think this is the end of the feud. I feel like they could have just gave Jericho 2 wins prior, so instead of getting 1 win over AJ, he could have gotten 2 wins over AJ, and then AJ gets that last win at WrestleMania where it really counts. I don't know if they're doing this to maybe give Jericho a push, because, I don't know, Roman Reigns is the WWE World Heavyweight Champion right now, so maybe Jericho ends up getting back in that main event scene and challenging for the championship. I doubt it. I really doubt it, which is why I'm confused about this win here for Jericho. I feel AJ should have won this. To me, this is almost as bad of a decision as Sting or Triple H going over Sting at last year's WrestleMania. Now, when it comes to the pre-show matches or the kickoff matches, I thought the Usos versus Dudley Boyz match was, like, pointless. I mean, I get that, they're trying to put them on the card, put as many superstars on the card as possible, but this felt like a Raw match, a match we could have seen on Raw. And when it comes to the Total Divas match versus the Blonde team and Bad team, or Bad and Blonde, I thought that was actually the better match, or the best match on the kickoff, followed by Ryback versus Kalisto. There were 3 matches anyways on the kickoff: Ryback versus Kalisto, the Divas match, and the tag team match. And yeah, also another highlight of the show, man, Austin, HBK, Mick Foley coming out. That was freaking awesome. If you ask me, the 2 highlights of the show: Shane McMahon jumping off the Hell in a Cell, and that right there. Those were freaking cool. Also liked the New Day coming out, with that Saiyan armor. And I think that's pretty much it. Also, yeah, man, when it comes to the Divas Triple Threat match, I did say in my prediction, even though I went with Sasha, I did say I could see them pulling off a Randy Orton win like they did at WrestleMania 24? Yeah, I think it was 24. When it was Randy versus Triple H versus John Cena in the Triple Threat match. Everybody was like, okay, it's either John Cena or Triple H, and everybody was talking about how, no, it's this guy or it's this guy, but everybody was ignoring Randy, and Randy ended up winning. I feel like they went ahead and went with that, because everybody in this case was thinking it's either Becky or Sasha, and everybody was forgetting about Charlotte possibly winning, and she ended up winning. And I also think that they might just want, the Flair name as the first, or because she's not really the first, because they've had woman champions before. So I guess the first women's champion of the rebirth of the championship. But anyways, I think I covered everything. And yeah, a lot of match was cool. A bunch of cool spots in the match, and I'm really happy about the results. Zack Ryder winning. Same goes with the ladder match. Most people, myself included, were going back and forth between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens winning this one. And who ended up winning? The guy that was probably not even supposed to be in the match in the first place and was just in it because Neville got injured. At least I think so. But hey, man, whether it's because Neville got injured or not, I like the result of the match that Zack Ryder won the championship. Also, when it comes to the Rock and Wyatt family segment, damn, the Wyatt family now they just look like a joke. I mean, they were already almost a joke because they would lose pretty much every single important match, and even the non-important ones when they lost against Ryback, Big Show, and Kane. And now Eric Rowan loses in 6 seconds to the Rock. Wyatt family gets beat up by two guys, John Cena and the Rock. It's just, yeah, the Wyatt family is freaking, like, can anybody take them seriously? And you know that when they start picking up some wins again, that they're going to lose eventually. They're just picking up these wins so that they can look kind of strong. But, you know that going into the big match, the main event match, the important match, they're going to lose. And tonight, honestly, the Wyatt looked as strong as the Social Outcasts. That's how bad it was. But anyways, that's pretty much it. As far as my rating for the show, I'd give it a 6.5 on 10. There were some really cool moments, some really awesome moments, some great matches, but also a boring battle royal and an unexciting, obvious main event, and a really disappointing match in Ambrose vs. Brock. Ambrose vs. Brock wasn't a bad match, but it was the fact that it was disappointing that really, kind of lets me down there. For instance, even in the finish, when Brock hit that F5, I thought Ambrose was going to kick out. But no, that was it for the match. Anyways, enough talking. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can click the like button. And also, let me know what was the highlight of the night for you. With that said, I'm out. See ya.